I'm home. I made it home. 12 hours in the airport yesterday. 12 hours in the airport yesterday. I guess it didn't faze me that much. I got to do some paperwork and finish up my emails, 4 million emails this week. I'm sorry if I haven't got right back to you. Obviously, I'm racing, I'm driving, I'm flying, and I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping also. So there has been a little lag. You'll see chunkets of emails come in, and I'll get like 20 or 30 done, and then I'll look, and there'll be another 20 or 30. Please don't let that stop you from sending them. I enjoy answering them, and I want to make sure that everybody gets all the answers they need. This is a confusing time of year. It's great when the horses are doing great, but not everybody's doing great, right? We still have some that, perfect example, Frontier Cruise the other night raced abysmal. I would have bet there was something wrong with him. It appears he just doesn't like Mario. Maybe he doesn't like French people. I don't know. But his blood came back not bad. He scoped not bad. This is a horse I qualified in 56 a week before. So I think what I'm going to try and do is get home next week. Maybe go, I think there's stakes next Saturday. I'd like to go to Kawartha Downs with about 5, maybe 6 horses next week. Go to Kawartha Downs. For those of you out there asking, they're asking about Fox Valley Shazam. She races Thursday. I am in Canada on Thursday. I'm going to drive Fox Valley Shazam. Mario's going to drive his other 2 fillies, Enjoy My Life and Time Will Dazzle. He's going to drive both of them. He goes to them. He gets along really well with them. Fox Valley Shazam's a little trickier. I mean, Mario and his brother have made a pretty good living their whole life hanging up trotters and do a great job. And I said this before a million times, there's no right way or wrong way as long as you end up in the little place where they take your pictures. I'd like if the horses are putting in steps, at some point in time, the game is up. Just snap the hobbles on them tight and get them racing, get some confidence in them. Those hobbles can come off, not that hard to do. So that's what my preferable choice would be, whereas Ben and Mario would be, they'd work at it like a Rubik's Cube and great horsemen. But now we're here, aren't we? The work and the workout time and the trying to get them right, that time has passed a little bit. Now it's time to get going. And it's not easy to set the hobbles on Fox Valley Shazam. I thought they were on tight enough the last time Mario qualified her, and they weren't. And where we set them is incredibly hard and tough, tight on the horses, much like Spirit of Dio. I think a lot of people in New Jersey get a kick out of the fact that she wears her hobbles that tight. But, one of our clients was sitting at the fence. Paul was sitting at the fence with his wife the other night. And I was going a mile with her in the warm-up, mile track. I'm way over in the last turn. She's starting to trot real good. She feels great. Hobbles are so tight. I just reached down. I let them out 2 holes. 2 holes in the hobbles would be about that much. I just let them out that much. She trotted out of the turn and run all over the track. And run again. I got her back trotting. I pulled the hobbles back up. I let her smoke through the turn, through the wire, into the turn, around the turn, into the backstretch. It's really incredible that she wears them that tight, but I don't care. As I said to Tim Tetrick and Yannick were laughing about it there when she won and come 26-4 the week before, and they were laughing about how tight her hobbles were before the race. When we were pulling up after the race, I said, listen, if you want to make an offer, I'll bring it back to our clients. We can sell you the mare, and you can let them out as long as you want. Better yet, you can race her with no hobbles if you want. But they're gonna be that tight when we race them. So, we're racing against all these beautiful horses that got beautiful gaits and no trotting hobbles, and I don't care if we're the skunk at the tea party. As long as the check is written out to the skunk at the tea party, I'm good. So, Spirit of Dio was good again the other night, obviously. Bad cover. You guys saw the race. Here's the thing about her, and I'd said this in my other video. She trots hard through the turn and then carries her speed to the wire. She hasn't really learned to accelerate in the straightaways because of her confidence. So if you watch her, she did accelerate down the lane the other night. It's a big last quarter for her because that was all straightaway. She likes it harder in the turns almost sometimes. So a great race for her. Anyway, we'll get right into it. You know what? I said to myself doing this, I'm making a top 10 list today. Top 10, no more. Can't do it. I can't be making big giant lists. Top 10. We had 10 winners in the last week and a half. How do I not include Knockdown Dragout? People can say we now, for lack of a better analogy, we've beaten that horse to death as far as what went on, what could have went on, what did go on, whether it was my fault, the horse's fault, a million different things. If you want to blame me, go ahead and blame me. That's fine. But Knockdown Dragout wasn't herself. Having said that, she still trotted in 57-2. Not too shabby. So, how do we not have her on the top 10? She didn't win. She comes in at number 12. You know, horses like Sebastian Yu just qualified in 59, last 3 quarters, 127-1 the other day. How good's he? Didn't win yet. We had 10 horses that broke their maiden in the last 2 weeks, I think. So, I'm gonna pull out plugs. Oh, I'm just reading a message. So anyway, we have a top 20. How ridiculous is that? How happy am I? I had to take 2 horses off the list. I had 22 right here, and I had to take 2 off. So we have 20, top 20 horses that impressed me over the last 2 weeks. Here, I'll tell you number 20. Where Libero Hanover is number 20. 20. There's a horse that won his first lifetime start, trotted in 58 a second lifetime start, making his 3rd lifetime start in the Pennsylvania All-Stars tomorrow at the Poconos. He's number 20. Anyway, to say the least, we've been off to a pretty hot start here at the stable. We saw some of our 3-year-olds come around again. Yes, and West 52nd. West 52nd looked great last week when I drove him. 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yes, looked good. And then, what about Stonebridge Simba the other day? Looked good again. We haven't shook the rust off Oso Pine yet. I was a little frustrated the other night. I got away last, and he just didn't want to try. You know, he tried a 56.5-mile track, but he didn't care. So I told Jason, I said, train him up real hard. We've been going easy with him. Train him up real hard. Put that closed bridle back on him. He's got the rail on a 1/2-mile track, and I'm going to use it on Wednesday. What else? Just a lot going on. So we're gonna get right to it. Obviously, I'm gonna tell you what. Take this with a grain of salt because James drove some horses that were extremely impressive the other day. I didn't rank them ahead of mine because I didn't drive them, and I thought the most impressive mile from any horse in our barn last week was Globetrotting. 8-hole, 1/2-mile track. One of my and I own a little bit of that filly. One of my partners said to me, "What do you think of the 8-hole?" I don't care. She trots the way she did in Georgian. I would be shocked. She would be one of the contenders in Pennsylvania or any other jurisdiction on earth. This filly is legit. And spend that money was awesome too. Take nothing away from her and cut some slack to Compass Rose DC. She never warmed up. First time she went by herself on the warm-up. Could barely get her to go. She's not good on the front. She's not good by herself. She likes to compete. And James put her up in the front. Good for him. I showed a lot of balls. I didn't think he would. But he put her on the front. She raced good. She did what it took to get the job done. And Ailson raced her guts out and got beat by one of the best fillies in the state also. So we had a great day. You guys all know it. Probably one of the best days I've ever had. 5 major stake races. One was a Stallion Series. So 4.5 major stake races. 4 victories and a second beat a 1/2 a length. A tremendous day for us. As I said, probably one of the best days I've ever had. Globetrotting, I think she's legit. And I'm sure Spend That Money is too. And the other ones, Globetrotting's a special kind of filly. 28-1 after leaving, parked around the turn, cleared to the front, controlled the race like an aged horse. I called her on the last turn. I did sure pulling her up. This filly is all business. So Globetrotting was the most impressive filly for me. We had 4 wins that day. We had Spend That Money, jogged. Compass Rose DC, jogged. Ailson got picked off the wire. Globetrotting, jogged. And then we had I'll Play It Alone. Now, for those of you out there saying, hey, Anthony, how's your wrist? If my wrist didn't fall off at the Meadows, going by the 5/8 pole, driving I'll Play It Alone, I'm just fine. Man, oh man, for a little horse, it's like they jammed this massive Clydesdale with an alligator's mouth into this little tiny horse. He's a Calligator. He can, man, oh man, he can pull. He's got a vicious mouth on him. He was okay at the start. If you watch the start of the race, I was about a 1/2 a length off the gate. He felt like he was just going to go to sleep a little bit. And I'm like, well, come on now, fellow. You know, we got the rail on a 5/8 mile track at 3 to 5. I don't want to get away 6th. I just went one time, game on. From that point in time till after the wire, it was wide open. I got him throttled back, but again, as a driver, did I take some of his air away? 27-3, cease on him, straight back on him, 57-1. Cut him loose getting into the last turn a little bit, called on him at the head of the lane. We get this colt under control, and he's close. He's close to not being under control, but he's close to being under control, and I think we can get him there. Very impressive colt nonetheless. Man, oh man, is he super fast. So that was our Wednesday. Let's start off the first day of the week. Monday, we had Path of Totality. First lifetime win, 158-3. That would have got her a W in a couple of the sire stake races the next day. She looked awesome. Moved her. This filly here, once she starts getting confidence, we can let those hobbles out. She's a filly that didn't even need hobbles until her second qualifier. Never wore them. So the transition is quite tough. She went from not wearing them to wearing them tight. When we start to be able to let these hobbles out, she starts getting comfortable with herself on the racetrack. You're going to see some kind of nice horse. And Path of Totality was very impressive the other day. Miss Mischief Maker came from last to be third. In fairness to her, she had a Murphy blind on the outside. She went by everything she saw. Everything she saw, she went by. 2 horses were down in the passing lane that beat her for first and second, but went very, very good. And then at night, Susie K raced her guts out. I'm not going to mention everybody that raced, and I don't mean to offend anybody. I just only got so much time. And, well, I got lots of time, but we can't just... We're going to mention everybody in the other things, but the opening here, it's just for the horse that caught my eye. Susie K raced her guts out, finished second. If I'd have said to you, hey, Susie K is going to trot in 58 or 59, her first lifetime starting in Northfield, raise your hand how many people would have said, yeah, that's about right. No one. Susie K raced unbelievably good. Then Tuesday we had a big day. Knockdown Dragout was disappointing. I don't want to get into this whole knockdown Dragout thing. She was a little bit off left hind. Andrew found a few little things with her this week. Her AST wasn't as high as I thought it would be, which is good, but he did find a little something in her left hind. He's got that all fixed up. She's going to be ready to go at the Pennsylvania All-Stars Tuesday. And I think she'll be a little more under control. Strikes me as one of those horses when something's not bothering her, comes unglued a little bit, and I think Andrew's got her well under control for this week, and then I'll have to also. For those of you out there that want to blame me, I'm going to have to bring my A game also for Tuesday. I think I've been doing pretty good, though, it might have been one of the best weeks of my life last week. So, knockdown, drag out, again, I just looked quickly at the list. It looked like she was in where she should be able to do. Did have a little screw up. For those of you out there, I apologize. My partner's on Miss Mischief Maker. I sent the filly to John Boutenshane, and he had mentioned putting the horses in, and I think there was a little miscommunication. I don't really think she's ready for the Pennsylvania All-Stars, especially from the 7-hole. I let the dogs out in the front yard. Cruz, don't go far, buddy. Stay close. Big Clydesdale. Stay close. Yeah, so I apologize about that. We needed to start anyway, but a 7-hole in a class way above where she raced. This is supposed to be the best of the best. Bit of a big bone to chew on there with her, but she raced great the other day. I expect her to come back around well. She raced well on Tuesday. So did Just For Me and You. 5th beat What a Neck for 3rd. Closing raced great. We opted to give her a schooler at the Meadows and then go to Philadelphia. I just want to make sure we got her under control trucking wise. It's a long ship to the Poconos, back to the Meadows, and then the next week to Philadelphia is a long one again. So Just For Me and You is going to stay close to home. Harness AM, couldn't ask her to race much better than she did the other day, could you? I mean, got screwed in the first turn, got carried across the track down the lane to finish second. I thought this filly raced fantastic. For those of you out there calling for Yannick's head, I would have done the same thing. So it's pretty hard to be. It would have to be. He'd have to be set back by a hypocrite if I was to complain. I would have drifted a little bit and just caused a little friction. I think it was enough to cost her the win, but nevertheless, he did win by a full length, so maybe I wouldn't have got him anyway. Then Wednesday, we had obviously the huge day. Globetrotting was unbelievable. Ailsun really was unbelievable too for her. 2nd and 57 off a qualifier in 2-4. I told you she was ready to rock, but even for me, 57 and 3 was big. Spend That Money was unbelievable. Again, James wrapped up with her at 58 and 3, and then Compass Rose DC a little bit slower, but not her cup of tea. 59 apiece on the front end. This filly's not a front-end horse, but she looked like a winner the other day. And then, of course, earlier in the afternoon, I'll Play It Alone tried to take my wrists off in the Meadows. So we had probably a Wednesday, July the 3rd, I believe it was, probably one of the biggest days ever for us. And what a day we had. Then Thursday, we had the Colts. They all struggled. I don't know whether it was the track or what it was. Rosarn Valiant didn't feel like he was getting a hold of it. Now, we both know if I had got him out in the last turn, he's 3rd. Raced okay, but struggled. bend over, watch the replay, watch how hard he's working in his hobbles. Don't think he can get a hold of the track. We're going to take some weight off of him up front. He might even go to an aluminum shoe next time he goes to Scioto. For next week, we're at Northfield, so we'll leave him as is. And third was Yours If You Want It, was not himself. I moved him, felt like he was a winner, then he was like second. The way the horse in the front curled up, I should have blew by him in the last turn. Instead, I kind of let him alone, come out of the turn, kicked the earplugs, and he walked down the lane. Felt weak, knuckled over a bit. I'm not so sure there might not have been an issue with a little EPM or something with that horse. For a big, strong horse, either he's just going through a growth spurt, which is possible, but he might have EPM a little bit, so we treated him for EPM this week. If you see a huge difference in this horse this week, you'll know why on Wednesday, but now he's dropped down into the Buckeye Series. I think it's fair. All these three of these colts don't need to race their guts out every week. Let's drop them down into the Buckeye, get them some confidence, hopefully, and there's nothing saying we can't make it back. They all got points. They all got money in the first Ohio Sires, so they can find their way back there if we so choose. And then Friday, obviously, Emerald Mist was not herself. You guys saw that. On the right line a little bit, not a little bit, on the right line, bought a bunch in the turns. At a gear, he moved her, she didn't go. Jason thought she tied up. He drew her blood. Now, it's not the same as here. I say, we'll draw her blood tomorrow, and I'll have the results for you in the afternoon. In Ohio, they take them to the university, and blah, 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 and it could take 2 days. So I don't have the results for Emerald Mist today on Sunday. I will shortly, though. I suspect her AST was a little high on Friday. And what about... I gotta take this. I'll be back in 1 second.